Hello friends, we are now gradually stepping into our applications of whatever you have learned. When I am talking about the communication skills, I will be more elaborative on these issues in terms of applications. I would suggest that you learn the subject in this manner. I will talk about individual items. I will give you some tips, some tricks, some do's and don'ts. What I feel, what I have experienced, I have learned, or I have gathered from various researches, I am going to share with you that. See, basic idea when I formulated this course, it was not to give an idea about the whole subject in general. I thought that the best benefit of this particular subject would be if I can communicate to you what you should do or should not do, so that you can try this in your professional life or in your personal life. So, these tips are always almost coming parallelly with it. Okay? Now, when I am talking with the communication language, I am focusing on verbal and non-verbal communications, in which I decided to start with non-verbal first. Because the verbal communication you had been learning, you had been doing, you have been practicing. But non-verbal communication is something which we need to imbibe. We need to understand more about it. Okay? So, I am focusing on the non-verbal first. Then I will go to various examples of what to do during interviews, how should you face an interview, or in group discussions. Not or, rather additionally group discussions. But one very interesting thing when I am talking to my friends on these issues, of the classes, they ask me one thing: are you focusing this particular course only for the people who are going to go for an interview or face GD or going for negotiations as a gainer? I said no. It's somebody who is taking an interview, for whom also these soft skills are equally important. So, what I will do during this course of discussion, that I might sometime play different roles. So, I will change my role playing. First, I might discuss about the do's and don'ts for a person who is going to go for the interview or going for sales. Then, by declaration, I will change my role and I will say, now I am trying to highlight the points which are to be followed or maybe adopted by the people who are taking the interview, or the person who is facing a negotiation or doing a negotiation for his company's gain, not for selling products but for buying. That means there is always both sides of it. If it's a communication, then there has to be one side and the other side, without which communication doesn't exist. So, please follow this in that manner. I do not know who you are sitting in front or maybe sitting other side of the camera. You put yourself in your position and then try to understand me. Listen to me, focus on my points and try to understand that what has to be gathered from my examples or the tips. You make your own judgment. I cannot guide, because I am speaking to a host of people who belong to different categories. Think about it. Maybe in front of me, somebody who is on the other side of the camera is a student who is going to face an interview. Maybe there is another person sitting on the other side of the camera who is going to take the interview. So, but I am saying once. Does it work? So, I will give such clues, and in case you have any queries, any clarifications, or if you want to add something to it, please use the forum. I am waiting for the forum to be answered, because I am trying to gather more questions, so that every time every question shot and then I answer. I prefer not to do it. I am waiting for more clarifications or say more queries, so that I can answer in a gamut. Okay, now I am now focusing on non-verbal communication. Verbal communication we will talk later. I have no scopes to speak. I can only, through gestures, through postures, I can communicate. That means if somebody puts a lead on my lips, not allowed to speak, but still I have to say, I have to express, I have to communicate. This is what is the nonverbal communication, in which communicator is generally not present. So if it's a transmitter, there has to be then definitely a receiver. If there is no receiver, then your transmission is absolutely meaningless. So if there is no receiver, no communication. And if there is a receiver, but there is nobody to transmit or no transmitter, then the communication is again zero. So communication means there has to be somebody who is trying to transmit an information and another person who is receiving it. Now you put yourself in the position that are you going to transmit or are you going to receive? But end product has to be seen in this way. When you are transmitting something and receiver is catching it, then there may be a positive result. That's why green. Or there may be a negative result. So there may be a positive or a negative result of transmission or reception. Now look at this. Let me go a little deep into it. The result is going to be positive or negative. It depends very much on the purpose of communication, or very much on the clarity of transmission or the reception power of the receiver. This is very critical. Put yourself in the shoes of a person who is going to transmit. You have got a receiver. Now it is ready for communication, connecting it. What you want is the result is going to be following the green channel. That means you are transmitting, goes to the receiver, and the result is positive. But you could not express yourself well. Then what happens is it follows the red channel. It goes to the receiver. Receiver could not really decode it, that what is your intention, what you want to say, and then result is negative. Is very much like radio. If you can tune it well, you get a very nice sound. If you don't tune it well, there will be lots of other noises. So basically, if I take it scientific analogy with this, your transmission should be very clear, distinct, received by the person who is ready to receive it, and it should be noise free. Noise free means no other disturbances. The points communicated to the receiver. The result follows the green channel. That means now it is positive. And if your transmission is poor or the receiver is poor, then your whole communication follows the red channel. I hope this is clear. But what is that nonverbal communication about? It is the communication where non-speaking, that means you are not allowed to speak. So everything is communicated without using your lips or mouth. Okay? Two kinds. One is the passive one. The list very clearly indicates the passive one where the communicator is absent. Now, communicator is absent does not mean the transmitter is absent. I am talking about that communicator means transmitter has transmitted and the receiver is receiving it, but it is not directly from the communicator or the transmitter, but it is coming through some media. In such cases, it is passive. And another is active, where the communicator is also present and he communicates to the person but without any words. Now look at this, passive in that signage, glow box of an advertisement, of a restaurant, of a shop with a logo clearly communicates that what is this logo about, which brand it is it a restaurant or is it a shoe shop or is it a salon? That means the signage is going to communicate to you in the absence of the person staying over there, standing over there and saying that, okay, this is a shop, which is a salon, please come in. That means communicator is not required. Banners, big hoardings that we do see in the cities. Banner is very, very thoughtfully designed and then tested in terms of design, that in the absence of the transmitter or the communicator, is it communicating to the receiver who is viewing it, and the actual message or the ideas are communicated. You look at various hoardings of multi-story housing, the condominiums in the cities. You find there is somebody who is standing over there as a celebrity. That's mainly for brand ambassadors, and who is saying buy these flats, if you don't buy it now then you lose the opportunity, fine. But basically, are you really bothered about that celebrity? Probably no, because what the celebrity is trying to point to or draw your attention to the condominium drawings, the maps or the plans of the building or the photograph of the building. It may be digital, it may be virtual. But the question is then, why that celebrity who is not going to buy the flat along with you, why his picture is there on the screen? That is the first point to hook you, to catch your attention. Look at a hoarding in which one of the celebrities is saying that buy this property here, is one of the finest property worth owning. And then you look at the houses, look at the structures, look at the pictures, look at the ambience that is shown. But you first looked at the hoarding because of the face of the celebrity. So that is for hooking or catching attention. All right. So this is how it is being communicated without saying verbally any word. The logo, a symbol. If you are looking for a KFC restaurant for food, does somebody has to really stand out and call for you? No. You find the KFC logo, you enter. Domino's logo, you enter. Now, when you see such things, that means the logo speaks by itself. Then advertisements, the brand messages, whatever. The point is, all these are passive, non-verbal, communicated. Now, what is then active? In this, there are signs, like people who are unfortunately deprived of speaking power or hearing power. They use different signages, whatever signages. Basically, these are signs by which a thing is being communicated, no sound uttered. But there are signs which are very, very categorically worked out, which speaks about various letters maybe or some words, so that very quickly the signs is communicated. See, I showed you this. The sign of this is basically come, and the sign of this is basically go away. The sign of this is turning you outside. The sign of this is trying to show somebody behind. The sign of this is trying to point out to something. That means there are certain kind of signs and signals which are going on. Now, signals are the normal signals which are accepted literally everywhere, that okay, these are the signals of, like, what is the sign sometime may turn out to be a signal. Okay. Suppose you look at a friend, suddenly you didn't expect him to be there, then your eyes get widened, the eyebrows rise, and then your eyes get widened, you give a smile. Basically, you are giving a signal that you are welcoming him. You think about a situation that you saw a friend whom you don't want to meet him now, because you have a business to rush to and you are not being able to avoid this friend. Then in such cases, your entire gestures or movements of the eyes, eyeballs, eyebrows, lips, teeth, everything, the whole facial expression will change. You are signaling to him, don't bother me now. Or you are signaling to him, contrary, welcome. Okay? And the gestures are body movements or the languages that we do use. Language means sign languages. Okay? So gestures are movement by which you are saying that, okay. Sometime what happens is, if you look at something and then see, experience yourself, you are walking on a footpath and you found that there is somebody who is trying to beg for something from you, and he is coming closer to you, and you are walking, you coming closer to you, your first reaction is be away from him. So your first gesture, move away. Then next gesture, try to give him indication, please don't come, and then your facial expression changes. Nothing spoken, not a single word. Entire gestures altogether gives him an indication that he should not come forward any farther, should not disturb you. Then he goes to another person for requesting for some support. Okay, this is how it is. So when you are doing non-verbal communication throughout your life, not necessarily every time you have to speak, but at the same time, let me make one thing very, very clear. Only non-verbal communication does not make sense, does not have any headway. Only verbal communication does not exist. When you speak, your lip movements, your facial expression, your eyes, your eyebrows, your forehead lines, everything works, your hands, everything works together. So what happens literally is, though I am trying to show you exactly explain to you what is a non-verbal communication. In reality, non-verbal communication does not exist independently, neither verbal communication. These two almost come together. But if we can understand them individually, separated from other, then probably we will be able to understand deeply about the essences of this. Now, so the body language and the attitude. I've used the term attitude here for a reason. What happens is your body language gives a reflection of your attitude. If your attitude at that point of time, see, this attitude is not your mental setup. This attitude is at this point of time, what is your mindset? If you are smiling, then the attitude is you are happy. If you are irritated and your other expressions in the face is showing, that means at this point your attitude is not liking, irritated, agitated, angry, fighting, whatever, or very happy, or just relaxing. So body language and the attitude almost comes as together. But there is also another connotation of the attitude, which is the mental setup or mindset, which I am not going into. But what is very important here is, for the nonverbal communication skills, this is where, my friends, focus on this. I am almost taking you to the fields. So far it was all theoretical discussions with some examples or cases, but now I am taking you to the fields. I am suggesting you what to do, what not to do. First is, important thing that is required for you is grooming. Groom yourself, whether it's for interview, for GD, for games, for meeting people, for public speaking, even for innovating or going for negotiations or for marketing. Groom yourself. In the whole grooming set, I am going to come to multiple such kind of grooming things. Each one of them will have some points, not detailed in text, but I will try to give you some idea. This groom is required. If you groom yourself well, then you will find that many of your body languages will speak positively. If you are going for an interview, what is your purpose? Purpose is to get the job. There are 50 candidates applied for and there are 10 positions. What is your purpose? Your purpose is to be within that 10, not among the rest 40. So grooming is essential. Okay? Very interesting facts that I do observe for so many years being in my institute as a professor. I had been handling so many students, whether it's UG, PG, PhD or whatever. In our institute, we don't have something called dress code. There is not a fixed trouser color or trouser, design or shirts or whatever. Students are given freedom to wear the dress of their choice, but as long as it follows the social norms, it's fine. Nobody objects to it. We are not forcing anybody that you have to come in shoes to this class. So in the process, what happens is, when I was a student here, I also did the same thing. When I think that when I was a student, I used to go with this kind of dresses. I could never imagine that in future I would be doing something different. But okay, but the institute runs so well, giving so much of freedom of your dresses that it does not put pressure on your social or socio-economic conditions. So dress is not important. Your intellectual capital is important. That's the basic idea of our institute. So it does not ever try to restrict your dresses as long as it is, complying with the social norms of dresses. Number one. So when I enter the class, I find students with different kind of dresses, different color, different pattern, different designs, faded, different like say jeans or whatever. Sometime during the month of December, when the placement activity starts in the campus, suddenly I find a sea change among my students. Quite often it happened that some students met me, a very well dressed group of students met me on the road and said, "Good evening, sir. I am not very sure were they my students in the class." No. Suddenly I find that they are well dressed, very well dressed, with a light color shirt and a dark color trouser and very polished shoes and with a tie and with a nice hairdo and well made up. I get surprised that these are the same persons who were sitting in my class with such kind of shabby looks. The point is, they couldn't afford to be what they were in my class, they couldn't afford to be there during the placement interviews because there's a different decorum. This is where the grooming is essential. So now I'm going to the grooming first. If my grooming is well communicated to you, many of your body languages will automatically get connected with this. See, the first in the grooming is appearance. How do you look like overall? And the appearance is not simply, whether you are beautiful, whether you are handsome, whether you are fair, whether you are dark complexion, whether you are tall, whether you are short, whether you are thin, whether you are fat. No, overall. See, all these opposites which I have said has no bearing with your personality really, because your intellectual capital is the essential thing. So if you are a very intelligent person with all such kind of opposites which people say it's less positive, makes no difference. So don't go by that. So my first suggestion is never have any kind of complex related to your stature. No, never. Never think that you are not fair, or you are not tall, you are not thin, or you are not, say, healthy, whatever. Never have a complex. First, start with this positive note and then go to this appearance. You will find that what really goes in your whole appearance, in your actions, that will talk about it. Face. So it has to deal with, in the whole appearance, every such components of our body is going to play some roles, and it happens. So it's face, hairs, forehead, eyebrows, eyes, look. How do you look? The look, how do you see? I'll detail it out. Then the nose, then the lips, beards or moustache, the way I have, the fitness. There may be some more, but the point is, now let me first go into it. Have you noticed there's nothing called the back? Nothing called the back. Why? Because your first impression is created by how you look in the front. So everything in the front matters. In this, when I'm talking about this appearance here, essentially if you see that face and up to this beard is the first thing. First. This plays the first role, and you try to groom your face as best as you can. But for God's sake, don't go for those creams, some creams which are changing your complexion. Don't go into that. Don't have to, because your complexion makes no difference. There is no correlation between a success and the complexion. No, not at all. Now the face. In face, what is how you manifest? Basically, see, it can be, what your face communicates or responses to. Like say dead face. You look at somebody, the overall face is dead. Or it can be very active face. Now if I see dead face and active face is also a play not only of this profile, but also of your eyes, your lips, your teeth, everything together. So, but there is something called a face. This particular face word is, in your profession you will find that everybody will have some opportunity of remembering the face. Opportunity. But whether one remembers or not, that depends on the purpose. Okay? Nobody will say, I remember his physique. Nobody will say, I remember his shoulder. Nobody will say, I remember the arm's length or how tall he is. Everybody remembers the face. So this is one of the very important things you have to groom for. And that is going to support in your non-verbal communication. So dead face, active face, flat face, inviting face. Your face is going to give an indication that you are invited. Then frowning face. Now if you see all these things, the frowning, it depends on the lines that you do create over here. thinker, face of as a thinker. There's a face, something like who the hell are you type. Somebody, you enter a room and somebody looks at you with a kind of look, the face, as if, who the hell are you entering my room? It's that kind of attitude. That means your face is going to speak. He may not utter a single word, but looks at you in such a manner that you feel as if he is trying to communicate, who the hell are you? So when you are thinking about the face is very, very important. Few things which are very useful. Sometimes people change their facial profiles, or say facial complexions, or something like, or maybe, somebody is growing old, there are wrinkles and all, they use Botox and many other techniques by which they do it. Okay? But very simple ways of doing it. Your face should be always very, very bright, very, very smooth. Smooth does not mean synthetic. It should not look like synthetic. It should be smooth, for which I always suggest that if possible, before going for any interaction, use face wash, because throughout the day you are busy in something and you had been sweating and the sweat glands were emitting sweats over here, or maybe you are exposed to dust or dirt, that you are helpless about, and those things have sat on your body on your faces because of the sweat. Use face wash. Use that much which is very clearly visible. Wash it at least with a face wash, and if possible or if necessary, use powder to give a little bit of freshness to your look, or use creams. So this is when you are going for grooming on the face. Take care. Take care. Never go for any kind of interview or anything, without making your face looking soft and fresh. I don't say that you have to go for some kind of chemical treatments, but the thing is, you should look always fresh. Quite often I have advised by many of my management students, if you are going for negotiation, if you are going to meet a client, then when you land up there, at that point of time, you have 5 minutes time waiting in the waiting lounge. From the receptionist or from the doorkeeper, you find out where the washroom is. Use that 5 minutes instead of sitting in the waiting lobby. Take that 5 minutes, go to the washroom, check your softness or freshness of your face, and then you make proper arrangements so that you carry whether towel or handkerchief or whatever, you make a proper cleaning of your face. And if necessary, some people laughed at it, but many of our students later said, sir, we do use it as you have advised and we are getting the benefits. My students have confirmed. They said, sir, you said in the class that you carry a small powder with you and then use it before you enter to an office, and if possible before entering the actual person you are going to meet, make some kind of treatments on your face which gives you a fresh look, and many people have got benefits of it. So try it, but don't do it publicly, don't make it visible. Do it in such a manner that you are not seen by anybody doing that. That is the trick of doing it. So every time, everybody wants to look at a person who is entering the chamber as fresh. Nobody wants to see somebody who is coming in with sweats. However best you try to explain that you had to catch a bus and the bus was delayed, and then you had to walk so many few meters, and then you had to climb up so many stairs, so that's why you are sweating. Nobody wants to see such people inside. What they want inside is a fresh person. You know why? The reason is the person whom they are interviewing now for selection, they are going to be the face of the company. That means this is the kind of nature a person should be in terms of appearance, that he should always look fresh, as if this company always sends fresh people. Otherwise, this makes a lot of difference. The next comes is the hair. In the hair, what is important is style, color, dye, streaks, cut, hairdo, hair gelled or spread. When I am saying this, basically I am saying for any person, see, men and women, anybody could be using this. Everybody has to have the face. Anybody could be getting interviewed, or even sometime anybody could be taking interview. So it is irrespective of the sex of the person. So the point is, what kind of treatments of the face or the hair will be done depending on our normal norms. The woman person definitely should have a good hairdo. At the same time, the male person or the men need not have that much of hairdo, which looks very, very synthetic, very, very mechanical. So how much you are using gels and how much you are spraying on your hair, all these matters. But what matters very, very importantly is what is the color of your hair. Here I have something to add. Color of your hair is natural. Only people take note of it when you have used some other color from your natural hairs. Sometime I have found, now today's days all youngsters, they are doing all kind of dyeing or something. That's a very nice thing. I enjoy seeing people excited about it. But when it comes to the interview, at that point of time, nobody wants to see a person sitting in front who deliberately goes to a shop and spends some ₹1,000 just to have few streaks of other colors and trying to be, say, following the fashions. Nobody wants. Everybody wants to see somebody in its natural form, because if your appearance of some streaks of colors and such things which you don't care whether somebody likes or not, you like it, and suppose you are going to go for an interview and ultimately you are sitting in front, if that person who is interviewing you don't like it, then you are not selected. Why? The person who is responsible for selecting you, if he or she does not like it, then they will always think that they are sending a wrong representatives to their clients by selecting you. So be very, very conscious about it. See, do all fashions, because fashions are mainly for doing something. But this is where I find a sea change among my students who are now going for campus interviews. The person who always had a very long hairs or unkept hairs and all that suddenly is very nicely decked hairs, or nicely combed hairs, a proper gel or sprayed hairs. And somebody who always used to have beards, unkept and all, suddenly during that period from December to February, I find that they are very well kept, well trimmed and maintained. It is mainly because the person who is selecting you, it has to be to the choice of those persons also, or taste of those persons also. So your satisfaction by following the fashion, the trend, current trend is good as long as you are not going for interactions. For your friends, it doesn't matter. That's why I'll tell you, even I have a suggestion. If you have an interview very shortly, then suddenly you don't go for a haircut. Your hair should be looking like normal, but that does not mean that it has to overgrow. So my suggestion here is, I suggest to many, and they have followed it and they have found a good result out of it, is I say never go for a haircut the day before your interview. Never. Because the barber, when he is using his scissors and trying to play with your hairs, God knows what's going to be the final shape. It might turn out to be very funny, and which is not your normal hair, normal style. So the thing is, always go for at least 15 days before the interview for haircut, so that if there is anything goes wrong, give 15 days time for the hair to grow. And another suggestion is, before the day of the interview, at least do some bit of trimming to see if there is any kind of say undesirable growth of the hairs or the beards. So do that. So one suggestion is, go for the haircuts or such kind of things at least 15 days before, so that you give time for the hair to grow to a normal size and shape of your head, and go for a little bit of local trimming or very localized trimming, so that any unwanted things are trimmed off. And for the woman, for the ladies, you do your hairdo. You do the hairdo in such a manner which looks very normal. Don't overdo. If it is not a marriage party you are going to go for, people are not going to judge you based on your hairdo or hairstyles. People are going to judge by your intellects or your capabilities or qualities. So hairdo is required essentially to show that you are very well kept in terms of hair. So this makes a lot of difference, I'll tell you. So appearance here. Then comes forehead. Forehead is a very peculiar thing. See, your face, facial profile, your all resolution of lines, the nose shapes, eye color, eyeball colors, eyebrow thickness, hairs, everything is given by God. genetically. Okay, you have no control. Only thing is, you can always do such activities so that this does not ever become negative. I'll tell you some examples. I have seen people, see, forehead is there, somebody has a plain forehead, good, but somebody, by virtue of the genetic situations, there are some lines, no harm, but never generate your lines yourself. That means never create wrinkles on your foreheads yourself, because if you do it regularly, then at some point of time you will find they become permanent. So whether it's plain, whether it's line, whether there are wrinkles, or whether there are frowns. Frowns are created by many just to drive away people by body language. I have seen many of the officers, they frown to the newcomers, or they frown to the visitors. If suppose somebody who comes in with an appointment which is not expected at this moment, then the person automatically invites him with a frown. The frown means no nonsense. Don't, if you have any business, tell me right now. As if I am very, very busy, I am mentally involved somewhere, engrossed somewhere, don't waste my time. So the frown. I have seen many people by orientation create frowns over here, two lines. My suggestion is, it does not help. You don't have to be agitated, don't have to be irritated looking, don't have to be disturbed looking. If you want to give an idea to somebody that you are not required, very politely with your flat face, with a flat forehead, you can always tell him, dear, you please don't waste my time, you go, because I have no time for you. Very easy to say. But I have seen some organizations where more they grow in their positions, they develop frowns, and then after they retire, the frowns remain. That doesn't vanish. I have first-hand examples of such people. So frowning is a kind of idea looking down upon the others. My request is, or suggestion is, that use your forehead, keep it simple, plain. Don't make any kind of unnatural lines and wrinkles or frowns by your forceful working. Then comes eyebrow. See, I'm coming from top down here. Eyebrows are two things which are, essential. It has its own activities, own functions. But some people use the eyebrows very, very, strategically. Movement of eyebrows reflects different kind of expression. When you are really surprised, eyebrows go up. When you really like somebody, your eyebrows go up. If you don't want to, if you are trying to, focus on something, eyebrows, they come closer. If you want to show somebody a very rugged or rough face, your frowns with frowns, your eyebrow becomes constricted. So eyebrow is basically a work of yourself. What kind of expression you want to communicate with your eyebrows is your game plan. Okay, but the thing is here, essentially it is normal or raised, normal eyebrows. I have seen many persons, this is my personal experience I am sharing with you. I have found that I want to meet a top boss somewhere, and the boss was not very sure that who I am. So the moment I entered, he had an eyebrow which is raised like this, very much raised, as if I am watching you with full eyes open, and the eyebrows, totally this part opened up. I am watching you. Within half an hour of our interaction, the whole eyebrow becomes normal. And then originally when he was showing me a very, very rough and tough face, after half an hour, he becomes my friend. And after 45 minutes, he starts cracking jokes. And then after that, he starts laughing. The point is, if I really measure the entire episode of the facial expression change, it all depended on communications. Okay. Initially, he started with, don't mess up or don't mess around with me because I'm a very busy, a top boss person. And then I found gradually the eyebrows came down. It became normal. He never got a chance to really make it constricted because I never had any communication in which he is irritated or agitated. Then he becomes friendly, then eyebrow becomes absolutely normal. Then this resolution line starts spreading, smile comes in the mouth, and then after some time the laugh comes and he laughs out loud. Okay, that means the whole thing is a change, a game plan, in the whole communications through body language. So everything matters. Then comes the eyes. People say that if you have met somebody at young age and you see at the later age, you may not be able to recognize him or her with anything else other than eyes. People say eyes don't change. Okay, unless you put some contact lenses. What don't change? The eyeball color, the profile, it never changes. But the eyelids or the eyebrows, the hair losses happen, but eyes don't change. So if you ever have recorded somebody's eyes in your memory, then after 50-60 years, if you look at the person, you are now doubtful. You must have met this person somewhere, because eyes look very similar. It is because of which the eye is a very strong record of a person's identity, and the fingerprints, of course. But what is the role of the eyes? Eyes gives lots of different kind of reactions or expressions. Look at the list here. It's all depending on the movement of the eyes, how you move your eyes. The movement can be, see, you look straight, your eyeball moves. Focus on, look at my eyes, and then you see my eyeball is moving. This is called roving eyes. Means anybody who watches me will have a communication that I am watching almost 120 degree, because that is the angle within which I can see very clearly. So if I don't move your hand, I sit like this and I keep on moving my eyes like this, that means my eyes is roving. This is one. Do you know, you must have seen that many of the celebrities or the political leaders or ministers and such other dignitaries, they have their escorts, and escorts generally, or the bodyguards, they stand behind them. Have you watched them? You will find that they always wear a colored glass. The colored glass, why do they wear? Because what is the role of that particular person? He is standing just straight like this behind the celebrity for his safety. But if you take out the glass, then you will find that he is constantly roving his eyes. And where his eyes are roving, that nobody should get a chance to see. That's why a colored glass. Very interesting phenomena. Very interesting trick as well. You will never see such bodyguards will stand behind the celebrities or the ministers or presidents or such dignitaries with the color glass and then moving the heads like this. You will never see them, because they are trained to look straight and give an idea that he is looking straight, and others don't know that their eyes are roving. So eyes roving is important. Okay. Another thing is how the eyes look like. See, when you see somebody and you like, then your eyeball gets dilated. What is the dilation? It looks watery, soft, enlarged. Enlargement also comes when you are fearful. Your eyes, when you are afraid, your eyeballs also becomes enlarged but rigid. But when you like somebody, you see a friend after so many years, out of excitement, if you look at him, you will find, just watch the eyeballs, enlarged, soft, dilated, as if moist, soft. This is what is dilation. But if you look at somebody whom you don't like and you are afraid of him, but you are not scared really, you are skeptic, then the eyeball contracts. It becomes rigid. Less of humidity or softness is there. Less of, less amount of, I would say, the watery part is in that. It becomes rigid, contracted. These are indicators by which you communicate. When somebody does something to you or attempting to do something to you, you want to just give an indication without saying that don't try it. Your eyeball speaks first, because your lips are not saying anything. Your eyeballs and the eyebrows, these are two things which you play with. Everything else comes later. Okay. So here, when you are looking at somebody with a smile, now it's a combination. Okay. Or sometimes signaling. That means, with your eyes, with your eyebrows, you ask somebody to go out. What you do? You just, with your eyeballs, you move the eyeballs towards the direction of exit. That means you indicate, go out. Don't have to do anything. Sit like this and look at somebody and say, that means move. There are so many things, so many small activities that goes on within our face, and that makes such a big difference. When I'll talk about the interviews, when I'll talk about the GD, when I'll talk about the negotiations, I will give more cases in this. But at this point, my suggestion is try to understand it. Here, then comes the look. Eyebrow, eyes and look, they almost come as a bundle. Look means overall expression of your reactions or overall exposure of your reactions. In the look, basically, there are different kinds. Sleepy look. Somebody looks like this as if somebody is very, very soft and sleepy. Sleepy look. Good or bad, that I'll say when I'll talk about the interviews. Sleepy look, stern look, curious look, not interested kind of look, irritated look, agitated look, elated look, is very happy, amused look, happy look. There are so many kind of looks. What happens is, what is going to be the first reaction of your communication with somebody through body language, in which if I look at the look part of it altogether, look doesn't come alone. Look comes with your smile, your eyes, your eyebrows. If I take the smile out, okay, but still eyes and eyebrows gives a good idea of the look. And your first reaction, depending on the look that you have demonstrated, it makes a hell and heaven difference. I know that the person who is trying to sell a product entering my room, first time, not even taking an appointment, somebody comes in and asks, "Can I come in, sir?" I said, "Please do." Then he gives a visiting card, a company card, and then he is trying to say that I am here as a salesperson for that particular product. I say, "Please sit down." That "please sit down" sentence, I will say or not, it all depends on his look. So the look matters a lot. Be honest, be serious. If you ever think that you are going for an interview and you want to show that you are not that malleable, not that soft, and you give a stern look, then please take it from me that okay, there will be interview, but very less likely that you will be selected. Okay, all these points further I will demonstrate some when I'll come for the interview and other things. All right. So far today. Thank you.